On Thursday, shortly before Donald Trump turned himself in to the Fulton County Jail, Jim Jordan, Republican chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, sent a letter to Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, letting her know that he wants every document, every piece of information that she has regarding the investigation and the forthcoming prosecution of Donald Trump and the 18 other co-defendants. Let me rephrase that a bit. Jim Jordan, powerful Republican, chair of the House Judiciary Committee, made it very clear that he is interfering with the prosecution, a state-level prosecution of the former president of the United States, because he got his feelings hurt, and that's that. Obviously, this is not the first time that Jim Jordan has made such a ridiculous request. He did the same thing with Alvin Bragg up in New York. When Bragg announced that he was going to be indicting Donald Trump, Jim Jordan said, "Oh, hell no, not on my watch. Let me go ahead and issue you a letter. Give me all your materials." But this one with Georgia is particularly disturbing. Let me read you what Jim Jordan put in his letter. "The timing of this prosecution reinforces concerns about your motivation. You did not bring charges until 2.5 years later, at a time when the campaign for the Republican presidential nomination is in full swing. Moreover, you have requested that the trial in this matter begin on March 4th, 2024, the day before Super Tuesday, at 8 days before the Georgia presidential primary." I imagine he's writing that with tears in his eyes. Listen, dumbass, the reason she didn't just immediately file charges against Donald Trump on January 7th, 2021 is because that's not how investigations work. You have to have an investigation. You have to talk to witnesses. You have to gather evidence. And Jim, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's been happening in Georgia for the last 2 years. She had the special grand jury, and while she had the special grand jury impaneled, what happened, Jim? All your little Republican buddies kept objecting to all of her subpoenas, all of her requests, so that had to work its way through the court system, and it took forever, and then the judges had to decide, and then that was appealed, and then those judges had to make a decision. So had it not been for your party, members of your party, trying to delay, we probably would have had these indictments earlier this year. Hell, we could already be finished with the trial by this point had it not been for your people. So don't sit there and act like, "Why did it take you so long to do this?" Because she was thorough. She had to do everything she had to do, and she did it all by the book. Further down in his letter, Jim Jordan also makes the accusation that maybe, he has no evidence to back it up, but what if, he says, what if Fani Willis was somehow communicating with Jack Smith, the special prosecutor? Well, first and foremost, there's no evidence to suggest that. Fani Willis has made it clear she's had no communications with Jack Smith, but let's assume for a second that she did. Okay. So, what's the problem with that? Like, that's the thing. You make this accusation in your letter. You're like, she may have been talking to him, but you don't exactly explain why that's not allowed, right? One prosecutor to another. You're both investigating the same guy. Communication between the two investigations would actually be very common. I'm kind of shocked it didn't happen, right? I mean, you're going after him. I'm going after him. Do we have any evidence that we need to, share with each other? Because that's a thing that can happen, by the way. So why would it be a bad thing? It wouldn't. Jim Jordan's got nothing. But Jim Jordan is actively trying to interfere in this investigation to save Donald Trump's behind and the behinds of those 18 other people, which Jim Jordan probably doesn't care too much about. Mainly the Trump thing. But Jim Jordan has abused his power since he got that gavel earlier this year. The letters that he is sending to these prosecutors are an attempt to intimidate them to get them to back off the prosecutions. And therefore, I argue that the Department of Justice itself should open an inquiry into Jim Jordan for obstruction of justice, because that is exactly what these letters are. You are trying to upend state-level prosecutions, which you have no authority over. This is not part of your regular job as a member of Congress. Therefore, obstruction of justice charges should be filed against Jim Jordan. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.